The essay, Majestic Vision. You're in your last year of college, and you've been asked to write a philosophical essay as your final project. You're not sure where to start. What is a philosophical essay, anyway? And why should you care? Well, let's start with the basics. The history of the philosophical essay dates back to ancient Greece. The earliest known examples are Plato's dialogues, which were written as a way to explore different ideas and viewpoints. The philosophical essay evolved over time and took on different forms in different cultures. In medieval Europe, for example, philosophers like Thomas Aquinas wrote treatises, which were long, argumentative works that addressed a specific question. The modern philosophical essay can be traced back to the 18th century when philosophers like Voltaire and Hume began writing shorter, more accessible essays for a general audience. A philosophical essay is a type of essay that asks you to take a position on an issue and defend it using reason and evidence. Unlike other types of essays, like research papers or literary analyses, a philosophical essay doesn't have to follow any specific structure or format. However, it's generally a good idea to introduce the topic of your essay, discuss its history and evolution over time, explain your position on it and why you hold that belief, offer a rebuttal to any opposing arguments, and summarize your essay. So why would you want to write a philosophical essay? Well, there are a few reasons. First, writing a philosophical essay can help you better understand complex issues and develop your own opinions on them. It can also help you improve your critical thinking skills and reasoning abilities. And finally, writing a philosophical essay can be a great way to showcase your knowledge and skills to potential employers or graduate schools. The most common challenge people have with writing a philosophical essay is knowing where to start. Many students find it difficult to come up with a good topic, and they often struggle to develop a strong argument that will persuade their readers. Additionally, many students don't know how to rebuttal opposing arguments effectively, and they often end up summarizing their essays instead of defending their position. It can be tough to write a philosophical essay. Most people find it difficult to come up with a good topic, develop a strong argument, and rebuttal opposing arguments effectively. But don't worry, you're not alone. I know what it's like to struggle with writing, and I want to help you through it. So read on for some tips that will make the process easier. Pick a topic you care about. The first step to writing a philosophical essay is to choose a topic that you're passionate about. This may seem like an obvious point, but it's important to remember that the goal of a philosophical essay is to persuade your reader to see things from your perspective. If you don't care about your topic, it will be difficult to convince your reader that they should care about it too. Do your research. Once you've chosen a topic, it's time to do some research. This step is important for two reasons. First, you need to familiarize yourself with the different arguments surrounding your topic so that you can develop your own opinion. Second, you need to find evidence to support your position. When researching, be sure to look for reputable sources, like peer-reviewed journals or books from respected authors. Develop a clear thesis. Your thesis is the main argument of your essay. It's what you're trying to prove or disprove. A good thesis is clear, concise, and arguable. That means it should be easy to understand, specific, and open to debate. For example, a bad thesis might be something like philosophy is hard. This statement is too vague and doesn't leave room for argument. A better thesis would be something like philosophy is difficult to understand because it often deals with complex concepts. This thesis is specific and arguable, which makes it a good choice for a philosophical essay. Make a list of pros and cons. Once you've developed your thesis, it's time to start planning your essay. A good way to do this is to make a list of all the reasons that support your thesis, the pros, and all the reasons that oppose it, the cons. This will help you organize your thoughts and see what points you need to address in your essay. Write a draft. Now it's time to start writing. Begin by introducing your topic and stating your thesis. Then, present the pros and cons of your argument. Be sure to address any counterarguments your reader might have. Finally, conclude your essay by summarizing your argument and reiterating your main points. Edit and revise. After you've written a draft, it's important to go back and make sure that your essay is clear, well organized, and free of errors. This step can be time-consuming, but it's worth it to make sure your essay is the best it can be. Proofread. The last step in the writing process is to proofread your essay. This means checking for grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors. It's also a good idea to read your essay out loud to catch any mistakes you might have missed. Writing a philosophical essay can be challenging, but it's also an exciting opportunity to share your own ideas and perspectives on big questions. I hope these tips will help you through the process. Good luck! Introduce the topic of your essay. When it comes to writing a philosophical essay, selecting a topic is arguably the most important step. After all, if you don't care about your topic, it will be difficult to write an effective argument in support of it. That's why it's important to choose a topic that you're passionate about and that you can research thoroughly. As you introduce the topic of your essay, it's also important to briefly summarize your position. For example, if you're writing about the death penalty, you might say something like, "I believe that the death penalty is morally wrong and should be abolished." This will give your reader a clear idea of what you'll be discussing in your essay. Once you've chosen a topic, it's time to do some research. This step is important for two reasons. First, you need to familiarize yourself with the different arguments surrounding your topic so that you can develop your own opinion. Second, you need to find evidence to support your position. When researching, be sure to look for reputable sources, like peer-reviewed journals or books from respected authors. Discuss the history of the topic and how it's evolved over time. When it comes to writing a philosophical essay, discussing the history of your chosen topic is important. After all, if you don't understand the history of an idea, it will be difficult to argue for or against it. That's why it's important to research the topic thoroughly and understand the different arguments surrounding it. By discussing the history of your topic, you can gain a better understanding of its origins and how it has evolved over time. This will help you form an effective argument and make your essay more interesting to read. Explain your position on the topic and why you hold that belief. When you write a philosophical essay, you need to explain why you think the way you do about a topic. This means providing evidence and reasoning to support your beliefs. There are a few different ways you can do this. Use examples. If you're making a claim about what is right or wrong, it can be helpful to provide an example to illustrate your point. Appeal to logic. In many cases, you'll need to use logic to support your claims. This means using reasoning and providing evidence to back up your claims. Consider counterarguments. It's also important to consider counterarguments, or arguments that oppose your own. This will show that you're aware of different viewpoints and that you can critically engage with them. Offer a rebuttal to any opposing arguments. When writing a philosophical essay, it's important to be prepared to refute any opposing arguments. This means being able to clearly articulate why you think they're wrong and providing evidence to support your claims. It can also be helpful to anticipate potential counterarguments and address them in your essay. One of the most famous examples in the history of philosophy is the Kant-Laplace hypothesis. In 1786, Pierre-Simon Laplace proposed that if you knew the position, momentum, and velocity of every particle in the universe at a given moment, you could theoretically predict its future state. This idea was challenged by Immanuel Kant, who argued that human beings could never know all of the variables in this equation. Kant's argument was refuted by Laplace in 1814, when he showed that with the knowledge of the gravitational forces between particles, it is possible to predict their future positions. Summarize your essay and restate your position. Summarizing your essay is important because it allows the reader to understand your main points and arguments. It also allows you to restate your position, which is the main argument of your essay. In the example above, Kant's argument was refuted by Laplace because he showed that with the knowledge of the gravitational forces between particles, it is possible to predict their future positions. This demonstrates that Laplace's hypothesis is correct and that Kant's argument is wrong. A summary paragraph at the end of an essay is important because it allows the reader to recap the main points of the essay. A well-written summary paragraph will help the reader understand the essay's main argument, and it can also help to reinforce the writer's point of view. In addition, a summary paragraph can be helpful in reminding the reader of what they have read, especially if the essay is long and complex. In order to write a strong philosophical essay, it's important to understand the history and evolution of the topic, explain your position on it, offer a rebuttal to any opposing arguments, and summarize your essay. By following these steps, you can create an effective argument that will help you make your point of view known.